Hello, everybody. It is Kristy, and today is Monday, June 5th. I'm happy to be recording this message for the Butte-Glenn Medical Society board. It is specific to BGMS. I'm going to do a separate recording, possibly for Healthy Rural California, and share that with you as well, or there's just so much going on, and I need for each of the organizations to have specific information in this month of June. It's 2023. It's almost 2024. Oh my goodness, so much going on. BGMS. I have been on a really two-part journey, I think, for the past year and a half to find ways to strengthen BGMS and help the organization thrive for another 75 years. You're actually 150 years old, but BGMS itself, with that particular name, is 75 years old, just to be exact. I miss you all. I feel like I haven't really been as in touch with the BGMS board as I used to be, and happy to talk about what that means going forward, whatever the medical society would like. So let me update you. In particular, I want to make sure I focus on financials for this morning, and I'm really going to try to keep this to 20 minutes or less. I'm terrible at that, just so you know. Okay, so when I started in 2019, for those of you who were around at that time, you would know that we had $50,000 in revenue. 23,000 of that or so was membership dues, and then the other 23,000 or so came from MIEC. It was a 3-year contract to help BGMS get back on its feet. There's a couple of facts that are just facts, and I'm just going to share them. First and foremost, a nonprofit as an individual would need at least $50,000 to be sustainable. $50,000 would be pretty much in today's market a part-time job, maybe with benefits, but not an office. So my latest calculations are that an organization needs $70,000 a year in revenue in order to be sustainable, and that would be to have an almost full-time staff person, some kind of benefit, some sort of office to maintain itself. I think with a medical society, you also have a little bit more work. So our partnership with the California Medical Association is actually more hours. So that when you consider, oh, we just need a part-time person, that's true just to make BGMS function, but there's this relationship with CMA, and one could say, well, we don't need to participate in what CMA does, but we do. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I need to go to, or Bridget, the membership summit every year, CMA Advocacy Day, the House of Delegates. All of these things are important connections, and they take time for the staff people to coordinate. So it is technically an almost full-time job, and therefore I really do recommend that BGMS have at least $70,000 a year in revenue. I think that from all that I've seen, all of the work that we've done, all of the amazing events, coordination of women in medicine, the just physician lounges, our gala dinners, all of that, I really do think BGMS itself needs closer to $150,000. There's a lot of work in terms of updating membership information in CV, which is the database that CMA uses. We do use that as well, but we've added Salesforce because we have a lot more coordination and communication with nurse leaders, medical staff, the region. There's a lot of different communications that we need to maintain, and Salesforce is a much better system for that. Just an update, CMA keeps talking about moving to Salesforce. They do currently use it. but they have not allowed it to be rolled out yet to the component / county medical societies. So that's where that's at. But we were one of the first adopters and just got a Salesforce license in and of itself. We are currently having Healthy Rural California get that license and we're just going to dump all of the data that we've collected over the past year over to Salesforce under Healthy Rural California's licenses, because they have Healthy Rural California as a 501c3 gets a discount, whereas Butte-Glenn Medical Society didn't really, because it's a 501c6. It's so silly, but these are the world. This is the world that we live in. These are the rules that other people make, and we just try to make it better. So then as I started realizing that BGMS would be most successful with at least one full-time person and a part-time, half-time person or a 1/4% person or bookkeeping support, a couple of things went into effect. So I'm going to be sharing the new financial reports with you that Callie, the controller for Healthy Rural California, now does. And that's one of the big efforts that has been percolating for quite some time and was quite challenging to pivot this way. But because BGMS and now North Valley Medical Association will never have enough funds to hire their own bookkeeper, controller, the bookkeepers' expenses, if you just hired them out, were increasing. The days are gone. The days are long gone now of having nice accountants and bookkeepers sort of just adopt nonprofits and for free. And that ended for BGMS in 2020, I think. It's been several years, and that was my big wake-up call was, you need a professional paid person. Free isn't going to make it anymore. Free services aren't going to be provided anymore. And then the expenses to pay people to do bookkeeping and accounting work for a nonprofit or any organization are increasing. So because Healthy Rural California has gone into such a big space, we've already raised $5 million. We are on track with just the psychiatry and family medicine residency alone to be $5 to $6 million a year, with a complex funding stream of both grant funding from the federal government and CMS reimbursement rates. That's Healthy Rural California. I'm trying to focus on BGMS, but I need you to know Healthy Rural California has grown and is growing into such a big thing that we had to hire. And we actually had the funding to hire a CPA, and that's Callie Erner. She started in January. It was a challenging situation in that we had, sorry, my phone is ringing. I got to get that up. We had a really tough time finding the right person, finding the right sort of equation for paying somebody, recruiting them, and then allocating those funds from our different grants. So we're really thankful that Callie's on board, and she really got going in January, February with Healthy Rural California, which is her main salary. She's only paid by Healthy Rural California. And then that was complicated because we had these interesting grant situations. And then she was able to really wrap her arms around BGMS's financials in April and May. And then we were onboarding NVMA because of their situation. And that's a separate conversation altogether. But thankfully, she has gotten all of the bookkeeping for these 3 nonprofits together. And so that has been an amazing lift. Also, Healthy Rural California hired a very competent admin assistant. We had hired somebody part-time that was referred to us by Pam and then trained by Pam to do the bookkeeping. But this individual was ultimately not interested in the work, and since gave her notice this past December. And so we had a few months of finding the best person for that position. Her name is Isabella Gomez. She started in April as well and has been trained by Callie. So now we have somebody who's able to do bookkeeping for all three nonprofits. We have Callie in charge. I could take a deep breath. But my point in telling you all of this as the BGMS board is because those two people are fully paid for by Healthy Rural California. And so I want BGMS to understand, and I probably need to do a sort of management services agreement, but we are much better positioned by having this very strong CPA with Healthy Rural California and a strong admin assistant who can do the bookkeeping and is trained and supervised by that controller for all of these three nonprofits than we have ever been before. And I'm really, really pleased that both Callie and Isabella are in the positions and excited to be a part of the team and doing this great work. But that was a big shift, right? Because BGMS before was its own standalone organization, and we had a free bookkeeper who prepared our taxes. We had Pam helping out. I did pay her, but she really needed to retire. And so we had this sort of like cobbled together situation. And it's not that I can't do the work, it's just for BGMS. It's just honestly a lot of time that's required and to do it right. And actually there are better people than me that to do the bookkeeping and accounting work. So that's fantastic. So it's a big shift. Healthy Rural California is now providing this much resources and support for BGMS. And we're so lucky because that support is also now available for NBMA. The other big pivot that I really want to make sure I explain is that, we had this $50,000 a year roughly revenue with MIEC and their sponsorship ending in that same way after 3 years, which put us into 2021. We were looking at only having, $23,000 a year in membership dues revenue, which is going downhill instead of up to the 150,000 that I knew we needed. Meanwhile, I had raised almost 500,000 in grant funds to address access to care in 2019. And then because the pandemic hit shortly thereafter, we were basically just sitting on that money for a while. So two things that I really want to make sure I tell you. One is that I thought the board's approval, we talked about it at least, it should be in the meeting minutes, but I decided that for 2022, I needed to hire someone like Bridget so that we could pivot to adding and increasing non-dues revenue. And that alone takes a lot of work. There's a lot of, the relationships of selling an ad or sponsorship for the magazine or an event and then following up and making sure that those invoices are delivered to the right person and that they are paid. And then all of the funding gets recorded accurately. So, to look at $23,000 a year in membership revenue, and then to look at increasing that by 125,000 in non-dues revenue, that's a big lift. And so 2022 was a big experiment. BGMS paid full-time work for Bridget, part-time for Lisa Lee, who does a lot of the creating of the social media posts and the flyers for Bridget and updating the website. And Lisa actually got the Salesforce agreement. She's very helpful. She'll send out a lot of the constant contact emails. And then about 25% time for me. And so that was a lot of money spent on salaries, but we had it because it was literally just sitting in the bank account and we weren't able to spend it during COVID. So that was my big experiment. I think that now we have Callie and Isabella providing a lot of that support. I'm looking at possibly if Healthy Rural California has the money to do so, but having Healthy Rural California hire a marketing person who could then be turned to for all of these things that Lisa's currently providing to BGMS. Lisa's studying to be a radiology tech, and so she will not be long with us beyond the end of 2023, I think. So we love her. She's been phenomenal. I don't want to see her go, but she is on a different path for us. So this is an opportunity for me to look at how to fund that in a different way. The other part of that I wanted to make sure that I said was driving revenue. So we have Bridget, thank goodness, has shown that if you pay somebody a salary to do enough time and support for the organization, that you can increase the non-dues revenue. So that has been successful, but not yet getting us to the level of revenue that we need to drive. So the other part of this equation is that in 2019, the BGMS board gave directives on both access to care, we got the grant money to do that, and then to establish Healthy Rural California and to do the residency task force, which all led to the submission and the accreditation of the psychiatry residency. And in that, we got in 2020 an award from it's now called HCI department at the state to fund 1.8 million in an award to Butte County Behavioral Health in partnership with Healthy Rural California. But we couldn't get that funding until we reached accreditation. We are still in the process of getting that funding. It's very complicated stuff, but that's partially because in 2020, Healthy Rural California, Butte County, and HCI did not understand graduate medical education. And so it was set up as a reimbursement grant pending accreditation of the program. But that was a complex situation on their end. And then the county was sort of negotiating with HCI, and then they finally brought us in a couple of weeks ago to speak directly to HCI, because Healthy Rural California actually is the one that got accredited. And we're on a good path, and our partnership with Butte County Behavioral Health is still very wonderful. I hope we get that money. Here's the point, though. The point is that BGMS then paid all of my salary, paid for the office equipment at the time, right? In 2020, so the grant award started in November 2020. So 2020, 2021, and into 2022, BGMS provided a lot of that in-kind support to the successful application for the psychiatry residency and then to get accredited. So we have in the expenses and invoices for the HCI award, it's about $100,000 that we hope to then get back to BGMS in reimbursement. Had we had the award available to us in November 2020 when it started, BGMS would not have had to put this in-kind amount of money into play. And so it is very much deserved. So I'm hopeful that about 100,000 in the next few months will come back to BGMS. Callie has structured everything so that it's very clear what's what. So then we just have to go through the process with the county of submitting all of the invoices, expenses, receipts, and whatnot to then get the reimbursement back in. So I want everyone on the BGMS board to look at the financials that I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to meet with Dr. Whitlatch and Dr. Harwood on June 8th, just as a preliminary, probably give this whole same talk to them. Poor people have to listen to me twice probably. And then I'm going to be sharing all of this at the board meeting on June 14th. So I just wanted to, it's complex. It's not quite done because this award with the state is still pending. But I think when I talk about it, I feel good about how BGMS, set up some really great things in 2019 for success, and that in 2023, we are looking at a much healthier financial situation for BGMS that I'm not sure I could have ever predicted how successful Healthy Rural California would become. And so it's been wonderful. It's been challenging, I'll admit, but it's been extremely wonderful. And the other good news of all of it is that Healthy Rural California, which was part of the main, in my mind, the main reason why we launched Healthy Rural California together with BGMS in 2019, was to drive more grant funding to BGMS so that BGMS could do the public health work that it does. And there's been some really great developments in that direction as well. Rachel Sanchez, as the Director of Community Health, is applying for all of these grants. She's amazing. She has been connecting all of the different parts of the region: healthcare, education, workforce training and development. So there's, it's mind-boggling how much has changed in just 4 short years. And I hope everybody feels really good about that. And that we are so much better positioned. Like if the BGMS board says that access to care is now the number 2 priority, and we have this, whatever that would be, as our number 1 priority, I actually have a team of people that we could put our minds around that to get grant funding, to make sure that we're set up financially for success with the controller, that we could, lay out a path that would be structured and grant funded in a very good way. Part of that too, of the Healthy Rural California becoming this umbrella organization, is that now we have these great offices that can flex. We have workstations. Bridget can come in. We have storage space for all of the files, the historical documents of BGMS and NVMA, and the alliances that had been affiliated for so many years. So it's fantastic. I think we're so, let's think through getting some other grants for the future for BGMS, which could then fund other positions to do this good work. It's amazing. And then Healthy Rural California could be the grant manager so that BGMS can focus on the work at hand. So it's really, really so much better positioned than I could have ever imagined because of this great team of people. And it's not just Kristy trying to do it all by myself, which is not a sustainable model, I will add. So I'm going to stop recording this because I really do need to do a separate one for Healthy Rural California. It is amazing, and I want you to hear it because BGMS and the board and everyone, yes, it's a separate organization. Yes, it's going into some directions that would sort of not necessarily be related to BGMS, but it's very, very wonderful, and you should feel proud about Healthy Rural California's directions as well. I did want to say one final financial statement, which is that I have now positioned $50,000 a year to come from Healthy Rural California's graduate medical education work to BGMS, so that a BGMS staff person can do all of the white coat ceremonies, welcoming ceremonies, corralling all of our future residents to join us at a dinner and be recognized for joining the community. There's a lot of work that the BGMS staff folks will be doing to support the residents. And we're also providing each and every resident free membership. So that's $1,000 per resident. We're looking at a minimum of 28 residents, possibly as many as 52. So $50,000 a year to BGMS to support the residents is good. We have the $23,000 a year in membership dues. And then we have $25,000 a year coming from NBMA, as long as we can keep them alive and successful. And then, so that's 25,000 plus 50,000 plus 23,000 in membership dues, which brings us close to 100,000, plus then the non-dues revenue, which Bridget and I have shown we could do $10,000 to $20,000 a year in non-dues revenue. So we've really set up BGMS to be successful. There's more to be done, but I'm really proud, June 5th, 2023, that I'm able to look back on these many transitions to a path forward for BGMS that's pretty incredible. So thank you all. It has been such a joy to work with you. I know that I stepped into a fantastic situation with a great board, and Pam had done a wonderful job of setting things up for success. And I know that even more today than I did 6 months ago, because I can see that the North Valley Medical Association is in a very different situation. I have good hope for it. I think it's going in the right direction. But BGMS, you guys, you got it going on. It's been such a joy. I'm looking forward to some new things too coming up in the future. All righty, I'm going to wrap this up now so I can record some other videos. All right.